We are now recording. So I'd like everyone please to stay on mute while we are recording the session. And just to repeat what I said earlier, I'm Anne Sanson from Darebin Climate Action Now, and we are very happy to be having this first ever for DCAN of a demonstration of the wonders of induction stove cooking with Emma Dean, a MasterChef chef. And some people are with Emma, the rest of us are online. So I want to start by acknowledging that we, probably most of us, but not necessarily all of us, are on the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Wherever we are, I want to acknowledge that Indigenous people have never ceded sovereignty to this land, and after their care of the land for over 60,000 years, we owe it to them, I think, as part of the notion of climate justice, to do what we can to protect this land from climate catastrophe. So I want to pay respects to elders past and present and emerging. For those of us who are online, I suggest that you use the speaker view, so you'll see what Emma is doing on the large screen. And as I said, please stay on mute. I know that some of you will have questions about why bother with induction stoves or what's involved in getting one and so on. So I'm pleased that we have Lachlan Hensley from the Metro Community Power Hub, who will be giving us a brief talk about these things halfway through the cooking. And then he'll also be available to answer your questions at the end. So please put all your questions in the chat, and Karen from DCAN will be reading out those questions to Emma or to Lachlan, as the case may be, at the end of the session. So what I'd like to do now then is to hand over to Linda Bradburn, who's done a lot of the organising of this event for DCAN, to introduce Emma. Over to you. Over to you, Linda.
Thank you, Anne. We're okay. This is a new experience for all of us trying to live stream this. So if we have a few technical issues, I hope you won't mind. So Emma Dean grew up in central Victoria and spent her childhood on a small farm in Epsom, where her parents grew most of their food. She studied at Monash University in RMIT, completing a master's degree in environment and planning, and worked in a range of roles in the Victorian government, including climate change adaptation and transport planning. In 2013, Emma became the Series 5 winner of MasterChef Australia, and now focuses on sustainability around food and food production, as well as making delicious things. If you could smell what we could smell here, it really is absolutely fabulous. Through working in restaurants and presenting at cooking expos, Emma has loved the technology surrounding induction cooking methods. Moving to Anglesea during COVID, Emma became very aware of the physicality of gas, because she's on bottled gas down there, and is now trying to plan a change to an all-electric household, including an induction stovetop. So I'm going to pass you over to Emma and enjoy the wonderful experience we're going to have tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to join us tonight. I'm going to make a lovely vegan feast tonight using all induction cooking. I'm going to show you a few different techniques to show you that it's not just stew. So we're going to do some, we're going to make a vegan pho and also a lovely crispy chickpea and quinoa burger with a delicious pomegranate tomato relish. I'm going to get on to making our pho. So in here we've got, I've just chopped up some onion, skin on, more about the flavour. and a whole bowl of garlic just sliced in half crossways. And we've got like a small hand of ginger. I've just bashed it with the rolling pin here for ease of time's sake. I've just done it all beforehand. So we're going to go over to our induction here. This is amazing. It's so reactive. I just love induction. It's once you get used to it, it's much better than gas. I think it's fantastic. So we just get onto our induction, turn it on. Just our finger, done. I like that 7. 7's kind of a good one to start off with. We're going to just pop in our stock ingredients. Pop it in. I don't have to heat up because I know it's going to be hot in like a minute or so. We're going to brown these off we're going to char them off so it's nice and charry, and that's going to make the flavour for our stock. You can already hear it's sizzling. I just turned it on just then, already sizzling. Amazing, right? So I'm going to let that do its thing.
Not quite what
It's so good. And then you can, I was playing with it before, watching a pot of water boil, going up to boil and then down, stop boiling, up and down. It's fascinating. I think it's amazing. Okay, so we've got our fur on. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into the quinoa burgers. So we've got some quinoa here. Now we want the burgers to stay dry. So you can do a few things to prepare quinoa. You can soak it to get rid of the bitterness. So I'm going to dry toast it and then add in the water. So I'll get my kettle on, that's why I remember. Just for my...
You're silly.
Oh. The induction is easier to use than a kettle. All right, so we get a little saucepan. I might use this one. I've got our quinoa in here. I've got this induction. So just follow. I go to about a 6, I reckon. So medium heat. We're going to toast this off until it starts to smell toasty, and then you see the little quinoa seeds start to pop. Not dissimilar to popcorn, but they pop around a bit. So let's get that on the go. Now the secret with quinoa is you do 1 part quinoa to 2 parts water, and that will guarantee you beautiful fluffy quinoa. But you make sure you get your lid on the ready, so it's ready to go when you put your hot water in. So I just have to watch that a little bit. You listen. So cooking is all about watching, listening, and smelling. So we've got it, just put it in there. We're just going to let that do its thing here for a little bit. But when it starts to pop, you know that it's starting to get ready. So have a look over here. We've got let's get my tongs. I've used tongs because, you know, we're professionals. So I'll just grab the tongs. Emerald's got a very beautifully organised kitchen. So you want to get it really charred. So that's starting to happen, but we want it to be quite blackened because it's a vegan food. We want to have that delicious depth of flavour. So I'm just going to turn it up a bit. It's going to be brave. Go to 8. Here we go, 8. So get that happening. Make sure all the surfaces, like that lovely surface there of the garlic, put that face down onto your pot. And the lovely smashed up ginger, get that in there too. Yes, starting to smell really good. We'll just put those to the side. Now we're back onto our quinoa. Starting to smell toasty, but not yet popping. I'm going to pop away though and get the hot water that I've just boiled. So I've got half a cup of quinoa in there. So I'm going to have a whole cup of boiling water on the ready. So I'll get that all measured out. So I've got, this is a half cup measure. It's a really easy ratio to remember. 1 part quinoa, 2 parts hot boiling water. I like to have it. All right, so we've got that on the ready. I'm just going to have to be patient. It's cooking, so you know. In tally, that you see on the tally, it's a lot of editing. We've got probably an hour of cooking for a 3-minute recipe. So thanks for bearing with us. We'll just let that do its thing. While that's happening, what else can I do? I could probably get onto my tofu. So I've got my big pan here. Oops, a daisy. Make sure. Oh, here we go. This is happening. You can see, oh, that's good. Look at that. You want that. Don't be scared about burning because it creates flavour. There's that char, delicious char, and you can smell You can really smell that hasn't got there yet. I'll get that in there. We'll, and leave the skins on because the skin, the brown onion skin creates a nice dark colour and looks nice as well. Adds a bit of flavour. All right, so we'll get onto our tofu. Oh, we're doing a bit too much. Don't want to burn everything, do we? We're nearly there with the quinoa. I might just leave that actually. Luckily, I didn't turn it on. I love that about induction as well. It's pretty safe-ish. All right, so we've got our quinoa here. So traditionally with quinoa, you can soak it. It reduces, gets rid of the bitterness as well. But by toasting it, it takes out the bitterness and it keeps the quinoa, because you wash it and then you do my ratio of 1 part quinoa, 2 parts water. By washing it, you've already added in some more water, so it can be a bit soggy. So by toasting it and then adding in the water, it's, you know, your ratio is pretty correct. So I'll just get it, got it at 8. 8 might be a bit much. There still is a little dry grain. And that's the thing with the induction. I thought with induction that you couldn't do dry frying or turn off, but you do all the charring and delicious like hot barbecue and stuff. Now you can see here, we'll come over here, we're starting to pop the little quinoa pops. I'm just going to toss it around a bit. So there's popping, little pop, the one that popped out of the thing, out of the pan. Yeah, you see, and then I'm going to get my hot water on the ready. So nice, and by cooking the quinoa here, it starts to cook the grain as well, heats it all up, and then we're going to get our hot water, just boiled, 2 parts water, 1 part quinoa, and come and have a look at this. It's going to go all nice and woo! That. Lid on, and I'm going to turn it right down, about a 3. So really low simmer now. Now let that simmer for about 5 minutes, and I like to turn it off and then just let it do its thing. So don't worry, it's kind of like rice. There we go. So that's one thing done. Look at us go. Rightio. How's this stock going? Look over here, starting to look good. You see it's starting to get all burny and charry. Nice, and we want a bit more on that though. I'm just going to bring it to the front one because I love the front burner. And the great thing about induction, as soon as you turn it on, yeah, I've gone it to be number 6. It'd be like the back induction part. It's now at the front. No waiting. Just get in there. Right. So oh, look at that. That's good. Don't worry about that. That's delicious. And then we're going to get our spices. I've got my spices here. We've got in here, we have a tablespoon of coriander seeds, 3 or 4 star anise, and a cinnamon stick, and 3 cloves. We're going to break that in there, toss that all in. So organised. Can't believe myself. Put that in there, and then we're going to toss that around until it starts to smell really, really fragrant, and those spices really come through. Doesn't need too long though, because you'll burn the spices, and you don't really want to do that. So again, let's get our kettle. Make sure our kettle's on the go. We're good to go at 1 point. We're going to put 2 litres of boiling water in the first stock, and then you can smell that fragrant, all those spices really coming through now. So I'm going to just get the kettle and pop it in. There we go. So I've got that, and then. Ooh, look at how it is. So it's becoming hot here. Induction is good, responsive. Oh, look at that. Ooh, that was a hot one. I'm going to fill the kettle again because I need some more hot water. Do you know in TV, so there's been a few mobile phones ringing in the background. You know, when you're doing filming, if any of the crew's phones go off, it's a slab of beer or a few bottles of wine. So I might have to talk to people in the background. Yeah, I get that on. All right. So you can come and have a look now at the stock. It's boiling along. It's got a lovely colour to it. Everything is coming together. Now I'm going to add in a handful of dried mushrooms. Any mushrooms are fine. I'm just using the shiitakes. They're not too expensive. And I do have a little cheat. I do use half a stock cube or a teaspoon of stock powder. This is just a vegetarian mussel, I think, whatever the good one is, the other MSG that I like. All right, doing well. So we've got our stock on, we've got the fur happening, the quinoa, there she is. Still got a little way to go. We're going to have all that moisture will be evaporated off by the time we finish with that. So I'll pop that back on there. And you can see here, I have prepared a stock a bit earlier, so we won't have to sit around for this. We want to have this kind of simmer away for about 25 to 30 minutes. We also add in some carrots. Now carrots are nice and sweet, so that will add in the sweetness. That's good. Look at that, everyone. Good job. Good job to my little prep team behind me here. They are amazing. So we're going to mix that through. You can see that it's all kind of coming together. I'm just going to put up real light. We don't want it to just go nuts. And here we go. Pouring on the boil. Smelling beautiful. That's really good. So the great thing of this food is delicious, but I really love putting some crispy tofu as well on top. Adds a bit of protein and a bit of deliciousness. So I've got some tofu here. I've got the firm tofu. I cut it into cubes about that size. I don't know, it's half a matchbox. Make sure I dry all the moisture off it using a tea towel. And then I'm going to just fry it off in a little bit of olive oil and then toss it through some maple syrup and some tamari. I've used tamari today to make it all gluten-free as well as vegan. We've done all of the things for people so everyone can have a delicious dinner tonight. Right, so there's you see our stock is now bubbling away. I am going to just pop in just 1 teaspoon of tamari whilst it's cooking. And then later on we'll season it up with more tamari and some lime juice because that's delicious too. The great thing about cooking, if you add in my beautiful favourite things like spices and herbs, it just makes everything really sing. Oh, that's looking so good. Have a look at that. Yeah, I know you have that look. Have another look at that. See all that. See the stock is really coming, that really deep colour. Everything's bubbling away. Delicious. So I'm just going to pop the back burner on now. I'm just going to whiz it up to 9 or 4. Pop it on there, and it should just cook away. There you go. It's already bubbling. I just turned it on, and it's good to go. Better than gas. I said that enough. No, but I really mean that. It's amazing since I've moved to Anglesea, we have bottled gas. I still have an electric stove. I'm getting an induction stove. It's taking a little while for COVID, but it'll get there eventually in August. I'm very excited about having a new kitchen because my kitchen is about 50 years old, but this is beautiful, by the way. And I'm just really appreciative of the beautiful technology that induction has. And as Linda said, the physicality of gas is really apparent in Anglesea, and we live in a coastal town and everyone loves the ocean, but it's getting fracked and it's getting absolutely butchered and gives me goosebumps and makes me emotional, and people still use gas. So it's like, oh, I can't understand the paradox of that. So anyway, we're on to it. I need to get a heat pump. That's the next thing. Anyway, all in time, working on it. I need some advice from the Brains Trust behind me here. Right, so I've got tofu. So I've got that, get the oil heated up. Just watching my little quinoa, still going well. I'll keep the heat on that, and it's just ticking away really nice. I like that with induction you can put it on. So I've got numbers. I've got level 3, level 9, level 6 here, and I know that that's going to be exactly what I want. So it's not like once you learn your induction, it's like your faithful friend. It doesn't alter. It's excellent. All right, so get this on. Delicious. Just make sure that heats up. We're heating up the oil now, so let that heat up. And this is a cast iron pan, so it takes a little bit, but really good. Got that happening, so I might just grab my bowl over here and just get ready for the next part of the cooking. So I'm going to toss the hot tofu into a maple syrup and tamari emulsion. So I've got some maple syrup. I just decanted it from my big bottle at home. I got the big bottle from Terramount Drink. It's still good there. It's amazing. And I've got some tamari just by the eye. You can do a tablespoon of each. I'm just going to do that. That looks good. I've done some here that prepared earlier, so that's what we were looking at. So crispy tofu, the delicious sweet and savoury dressing. It's really good. Right, so we're just going to whisk that up together. And then that's ready to go. So we'll just get ready with our cooking so you're prepared for the next step. Always learning. I tell you what, when I started doing this, it was a hot mess and I had stuff everywhere. Like this is good for me, tidy. Right, so I've got this happening. I can feel that's nice and hot. You can just put a bit of tofu and get it there. Probably a little bit longer to heat up. Yeah, a bit longer. It'll be right. I'll get my tongs. Got my fur happening. Ticking along. And then we'll get this. Be brave. Put it up to 9. There you go. Watch it go. Now this is the first one I cooked on this stove top as well, so that's how good it is. Like it's a very good thing. And you can see now the top, the quinoa starting to evaporate. You can see it all kind of happening. Let's just give it a swoosh around, and then I might just give that 1 more minute, and then we're just going to turn it off. Put a bit more olive oil into that. There we go. Yeah, that's better. A bit more of the good stuff. Right. That's better. I'm going to just pop that in. There we go, nice and hot. I'm just going to simply pan fry this tofu. Just a plain old firm tofu. We're going to just jazz it up with a little dressing and it's delicious. I love it. But now I've gone on to that, I'm going to get rid of this stock here. Not get rid of it, put it aside. I'm going to put it over here. And I'll just steam the noodles. I'll just have to do a quick noodle strain. Dirty, off camera. So get a sieve. Sieves are really good. Get a nice fine grain sieve there. And one that you can put onto the bowl. That makes your life really easy. I love it. Then we're just going to pour that. Yeah. And I also really love the stainless steel bowls. Cooking with they're tough, they're durable, you can bang them around. They're safe in the dishwasher, safe with share houses, and trust me. They're also recyclable. So in the end of their life, if they don't have an end of life, yeah, 5 minutes after take. And you can recycle them as steel and recycle them. All right, so I'm going to cook off this tofu. You can see the quinoa is done now, so we're just going to turn that off, and then just keep the steam in with the lid, and let that sit until it all absorbs. All right, let's cook off this tofu now. All coming together. What we'll do, we'll also get on our. Well, that's going off. We'll get our chutney on for our beautiful burgers, and this chutney is delicious. It's super simple. It's red onion, tomato, pomegranate molasses, and coriander at the end. We're just going to pan fry, just soften up these onions. It'll take probably about 5 or 10 minutes. So that's okay. We can get that happening. And then pan fry this tofu. It's all looking good, coming up in a nice and golden. Now making sure it's dry before you pop it in the fry pan. You don't get as much spluttering from all the water on the tofu. That's a bit nice enough for you to cook, as well as the crispier tofu. So it's crisping up so quickly. It's amazing. Delicious. So good. You want to have delicious bingo, like every time I say delicious, you get a bingo score. All right, there you go to that one. Oh, so good. Try and get all the sides. It doesn't matter. Like, just at least 2 sides are crispy. I think is good. And we'll get this get that happening. And then we've got our FERT happening here. So with the FERT, usually you have it going for about 25 to 30 minutes. But I can fasten that if you want to, and we can get into making the FERT after having this toaster. Is that a break time, or have we got questions? I can keep going. Oh, we haven't done the haven't done the quinoa. Go ahead, I've done the quinoa. Okay, I'll get on to the chickpeas. And then we can have a break. Or do you want to do that now? Yes.
If I can, what we're going to do now is we're going to break and move over to Lachlan. So hopefully Anne, who's moderating, can take you over to Lachlan, who will be joining us on Zoom. So we'll take a 10-minute break from cooking, and Lachlan will talk about the energy issues around induction cooktops. So over to you, Anne.
Thank you, Linda. And thank you, Emma. This has been wonderful. I'm getting extremely hungry, even though I've only just had dinner. So what I'd like to do now is introduce Lachlan Hensley from the Metropolitan Community Power Hub and from the Yarra Energy Foundation. Lachlan is the Community Energy Policy Officer at Yarra Energy Foundation, and I can't remember what his title is for the hub, other than he's a very important person at the hub. And he's going to tell you a little bit about the Metropolitan Community Power Hub, but more particularly about induction and induction stoves and why they're so important. So over to you, Lachlan.
Thank you, Anne. Hello, everyone. I'm stoked to be here. I'm in Darebin myself, and I've got some friends in the audience, and it's it's a great community to be a part of, and DCAN have been really fantastic contributors to the Metro Community Power Hub, as evidenced by this fantastic event. So I might just share my screen if it will allow me to do so. Great, so I trust everyone can see that slide. So the Metro Community Power Hub is a project funded by the Victorian Government through Sustainability Victoria. It's one of seven across Victoria, and our remit is to cultivate and support and develop community energy projects and reduce emissions as quickly as possible. And we're doing that in a number of ways. We've got a few exciting projects on the go, but one of the key ways that we can support the community is helping the community access solar and transition to an all-electric home, which an induction cooktop is an integral part of. We're also really focused on building energy literacy, sharing knowledge, and helping the community to be as involved as possible in the clean energy transition. Energy can be technical, it can be esoteric, but there's real opportunities for the community to be involved and really share in some of the benefits that previously have been, held by the utilities or the energy retailers. So as I mentioned, we have a solar and all-electric home program. Part of this program is you get to chat to me. That's not the key feature, obviously, but I can provide guidance along the way. You just head to our website, mcph.org.au. There's a contact form which explains the process. So we can connect you with trusted, vetted providers. That's often the key barrier for these things, that people don't necessarily know who to turn to. My role is to act, I guess, as an independent third party. I don't have any skin in the game as the salesperson, so very happy to discuss what's suitable for you. Ironically, given the nature of this event, unfortunately, we haven't developed a program to support you to install induction cooktops. I'll get to that in a moment. But I do encourage anyone who's interested in going on this journey to visit our website and book a consultation with either myself or with the folks at Renew. So a few dimensions to induction cooktops. I've got a little portable one in my rental place. I really love cooking with it. There's a few features that, had I known beforehand, I maybe would have chosen differently. So I think it's worth trying these products out, trying the model if you're going to purchase that model before you purchase it. And having said all that, I don't regret at all purchasing my little portable one. You can cook with it outdoors. You can cook a hot pot on the dining table. You could take it camping. You can take it to a friend's house. Obviously, you can't do that with the permanent fixtures, but there's real benefits to the portable ones as well. They are the most efficient form of stove. They're about 40% faster than gas in terms of bringing something up to temperature or bringing it to a boil, and much faster than a traditional electric. In terms of efficiency, there's also a few dimensions to it. So induction cooktops convert about 85% of electrical energy to heat energy, and they do that by using an alternating electromagnetic wave, which causes the molecules in the cooking vessel itself to vibrate and cause friction, which creates heat. So it can get a little bit esoteric, but the beauty of it is that the actual cooktop itself doesn't really get hot. As soon as you remove that vessel, the vessel is the hot object, and the ceramic or glass cooktop is pretty much safe to touch. So there's some really clear safety benefits. When I worked in disability, all of the disability support homes had induction cooktops installed. So there's reduced fire risk, reduced hazards. You're not burning hydrocarbons in your home. If someone were to suggest that we could have a fossil fuel piped to our homes and it's not as efficient, it has health issues, it reduces air quality, it's more expensive, but hey, we could do it, everyone would laugh at you because there's no reason why you'd do it. So we're actually in the inverse of that now. We have an alternative that is much healthier, much safer, much more efficient, much lower in terms of emissions intensity. If you can afford to get an induction cooktop, I strongly recommend you do it. Those of us who lead the way in terms of electrifying our homes and supporting our decarbonisation, if you have the resources to do that, it's how we're going to get there essentially. Someone needs to be leading the way, and with induction cooking, there's some really clear benefits. Another aspect of efficiency is that, actually, as a comparison, traditional electric stovetops convert about 75% as opposed to 85% of electrical energy to heat. And gas cooktops, the energy that's in gas, only about 40% of that is actually transmitted to the cooking vessel. So with traditional electric and gas, there's a lot of heat, wasted heat that's, even though it's converted into heat energy, it dissipates into the air, surrounding objects, that sort of thing. So that's another dimension of the efficiency of induction. And another aspect of efficiency is time. The time that it takes a traditional electric cooktop to heat up means that there's so much energy being used just heating that ceramic plate, heating the vessel before you even heat the food. So several dimensions of efficiency, and induction wins out on all of them. In terms of the cookware you can use with induction stovetops, the rule of thumb is that if a magnet sticks to the bottom of it, you'll be fine. So what that means is that it's ferrous, meaning there's iron inside. So if you use a lot of cast iron cookware, that's all fantastic, super efficient, you won't have any trouble. Certain stainless steel, if it has a high iron content, it'll be fine. In my kitchen, I've noticed some work really well, some don't seem to work. They must have aluminium cladding or copper cladding. Aluminium and copper can be, well, unless they have iron in the steel around them, they're not going to work. So classic non-stick pans from Kmart, or even maybe the more expensive ones. If they're aluminium, they're not going to be best friends with your induction cooktop. All the more reason to go down to Savers and get some cast iron, if you ask me. So just to finish off this slide, really recommend trying these out before you make the purchase. What I found with mine is that the actual coil that creates the electromagnetic waves has a smaller diameter than the size of the plate. So I've found there's a bit of a hot spot in the middle. You surely won't experience that with most of the permanent fixtures. It's just worth noting how wide is the diameter of the burner that you're using, and matching your pan to that size. They're very controllable, super programmable, as Emma's mentioned, really responsive to your controls. They cook evenly and they cook consistently. So I do want to be sure that I'm not going over time, and there is time enough for questions. I know we won't get to eat the delicious meal, which is a pity. But if you're interested in this, I'm happy to advise. You can book a consultation with me. Again, we haven't developed a pathway to support people installing these. Maybe in the Q&A, we'll have time to discuss what's involved in installation and some more considerations, because I'm sure that maybe we should tee it up, Anne. Do you think, is Emma ready to continue cooking, or I can talk a little bit about installation?
I think we're about at the 10-minute mark, Lachlan. So why don't you stop screen sharing and we'll
Sure
see
thing.
where they are.
Good stuff. All right. Thanks, Anne.
Well, thank you so much, Lachlan. That's been really, really interesting. And I know
worries.
we'll have answered a lot of people's questions. I also know that a lot of questions have come in as you've been talking. And I expect you'll either answer those in the chat or in our question and answer session at the end. So keep your eye on the chat, everyone. And now it's a matter of seeing whether Emma is ready to join us again, or should we continue to have some question and answer with
You ready, Emma? Yep, we're ready.
Go. Great.
Go
Good
for
on
it.
you. Off you go.
Woo. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so I've done a few things while she's been gone, but I've just popped in the tomatoes into the red onion. I'm going to set that 5 minutes until it breaks down. And I've dry fried some chickpeas, 1 can of chickpeas or 250 grams of your own cooked chickpeas with some cumin, coriander and smoky paprika. So just dry fry those until they start to get all crispy. And then they're pretty much done. So I'm going to take them off the heat. You just turn it off. Get this happening. Now it's time to make our patties. This is delicious. So I've got our quinoa, which I'll put here. There we go. Now look at our quinoa here. I'll show you how good it is. Lovely, fluffy quinoa. Look at that. How good. Pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So we're getting to our food processor. I love my food processor. Look, I'm not telling you to buy one, but if you have a choice of getting one, they're really handy. It's my most used appliance in the kitchen, actually. I love it in winter. You can just zhuzh up a whole lot of vegetables, make veggie soup in my community. Putting half the quinoa to the eye. I'm going to put that over here, sorry. And then we're going to put in half of our chickpeas. Again. That's all our flavourings in there. And leave that half out. I'm just going to, that's still hot, so I'm going to put that on here. And then we've got 4 medjool dates, nice bit of sweetness, really adds into the flavour of these patties. I've got 200 grams of frozen green peas, which I just put boiling water over, soak them for 10 minutes and then strain the water off. Put those in, all of them. And then I've got a little binder here, which I've just ground some fresh flax seeds, freshly ground last night in my coffee grinder. I want to put in 3.5 tablespoons. I found that was, I put them out to bind these together, which should be almost exactly these. And then we've got our harissa. I've just got rose harissa because that's left over from Christmas a few years ago, and it's still good and it smells delicious. So why haven't I used it? I don't know. And I'm going to put in a tablespoon, a good generous tablespoon. And then we've got our Dijon mustard. I'm just going to about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard as well. Just going to. In we go. And then we put everything in there just to look at. I think so. I'm going to mix it up to a nice rough paste. There, just relax. Watch it in all its resplendent beauty. Just give it a bit of a mash down. And the reason why I did all that cooking and dry, because I don't make the patties and put it there vegan, I've used a flaxseed egg to bind it together, but if it's wet and sloppy, it can they can fall apart. So just take off that thing over here. A little light's gone off, that's all right. See how they're coming along, the tomatoes, they're nearly there, but a few more minutes on that one. We've got that done. Excellent. Now we're going to see our lovely paste here, our patties. Delicious. Smells amazing. That harissa paste is so good. Now I'm just going to pop in the rest of our whole quinoa and chickpeas. That adds in a bit of added texture. Over there, some quinoa. A lovely toasted fluffy quinoa. Great. Right. Good. And this probably actually decant it up into that. And mix it up and then form the patties. Now these are best if you can leave them for about an hour to firm up. But luckily I've done some, well not I, the team behind you has done a whole lot so we can show you what they're going to look like to cook. I'm going to just scoop it out. Oh, no, I didn't put in. Oops, a daisy. Didn't put in the parsley. That's okay. We can just put the parsley in there. I feel we should do it up, but we didn't. Doesn't matter though. It's a great thing about cooking. You generally just have a go. Let's get a spatula. Oh, no, usually I use a spatula, but I just can't find one. It's all right. Get a spatula to make sure you get all those delicious ingredients because I want myself. Okay. And Laura has the best kitchen ever. I might have to consult her on my kitchen design to make sure it's all very chi. What's the word when everything's laid out beautifully? It's quite a famous architect way to make sure it's all. Right, over here, everything's going to be crazy behind me, so I'm just going to have a little look. There we go. Now this light's come off. Is that the light has gone? All right, so what I'm going to do is put it around at molasses. It's great. It's a nice sweetener. It's got citric acid, gives it a bit of zing. It's going to give a good glug. Good glug. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Thank you. And then mix it through. You can see now that's all breaking down and really delicious. And what we'll do now is I'll get the coriander. And we're just going to get that happening. And then coriander in. Stir it around. And there's your instant pickle, like instant relish. In 10 minutes, you've got a relish for your burgers. It's delicious. Serve it up like it is now, or give it another couple of minutes to cook. All right, now I've got my fur. It's gone crazy. I'm going to turn that off now. It's all nice and textured, all nice and infused. Now I've got my lovely patty mix here. I'm just going to mix it up, make sure it's well combined. And then, so good. And then once that's all done, I'm going to mix it, make sure it's well combined. I've just said that, but I'm just saying it again. And then once it's going to form patties, now you can have as many patties as you kind of want. You can have 6 really big ones, you can have 10 to feed a family, feed a crowd, or we can make them into little falafel-sized balls as well. They sound quite good. Let's get a plate out. And then what we're going to do, and then just using clean hands, make sure everything's good. We'll form patties around that size. There we go. And then we're going to put them all on the plate and then refrigerate them for about an hour to firm up. But luckily, we've done that about an hour ago and I've got a whole heap in the fridge. Just going to wash my hands and get onto the stock. I'll show you what we're going to do with it first. Exciting. So what I've got here now, I've got the fur all done. And I'll show you, look at that lovely colour. Beautiful. Amazing, isn't it? So we're going to just strain that off carefully. Now you could make a dip out of that carrot stuff. I'm yet to think of a thing to do, but I'd love any suggestions of what people do with their leftover stocky bits. I'm just going to put that in here. Get all of that off the liquid. I'm going to pop that over here. And then it has reduced down quite a bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water into that. Or do what I've done over here. And here's what I prepared earlier. So in here, that's my other stock, so you can see the difference in colour. That one's quite reduced, so you can add a bit of water into it. And this one has got a bit of extra liquid. I put in another tablespoon of tamari into that and a juice of 1 lime. And you couldn't put in 2 limes, depending on how juicy your limes are. These limes are really juicy, so if they're not juicy, you don't have juicy limes, you put in 4 limes. This is where it's really important to taste and season as you go. So I'm going to pop that over. This is wary of your beautiful bank shop. Okay, so got our stock happening. That's all done. I'm going to get our burgers out of the fridge. Patties, burger patties. Double the fridge. Lovely. Right now, I'll get onto. I'm just going to use the same pan with the tofu in. Same dishes. There's our chutney all done. Look at that, delicious, all nice and chunky, rustic, fantastic. Put that into this bowl. Got our hungry crew. I'll put that with the other chutney over here. And this is over here. Dishes small. Now I'm going to get that over there, like the symmetry. I'll pop that there. Right, so now we've got our burgers on. I'm going to put these on about 4 or 5, so you want to have a low to mid heat, I would say, for burgers. You can see they're firmed up. Look how nice and firm they are now after being in the fridge for an hour. And that flaxseed egg really helps. Like when I first started using this recipe, I didn't have the flaxseed in and the burgers were really soft, so you couldn't kind of bite into them. But now they're a bit more kind of buoyant, firm, solid. Right. Okay, so what I'm doing now, I am looking at a cookbook because I, okay. Stop the simmering. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to get our stock on. And we're going to add in a few yummy veggies as we're making our first. So I've got some fresh shiitake mushrooms now, so lovely delicate flavour. We're just going to pop these into, oops, not that one, that one. Here we go. Pop these in, give them a bit of time to have a little think about that. And then we're going to get our greens. Now, I like to put in the stalks first and the green bits right at the end. So we're just going to put that in. And then more of that is happening. How are we going here? We've got our patties in. So give them one final. They're starting to sizzle. And don't overcrowd your pan too much. Give yourself some more room to work. So, you know, be kind to yourself. There we go. Patties are in. Got our first stock happening. I might pop in a bit of, got some lovely bok choy. Bok choy is really in season at the moment, so it's really nice and cheap. Great. Again, pop the give them a chance to soften up. I've also got some beautiful sugar snap peas. Put them right at the end. Put them in too soon, they go really great. Right, so we've got our patties happening. What we're going to do now, we're going to get a burger, we're going to get a bowl for our soup, and we're nearly done. So to show you how versatile induction cooking is, you can do so many things on it, and it's really responsive and beautiful and great. Now I'll put into the flipper. All right. Yeah. Here we go. This one, excellent. Oh yes, lovely. There we go. We're just going to have a little look. Make sure they don't stick. Have a little play, make sure they don't stick. So just make sure you loosen them off if we're going to get too carried away. I'm just going to get that happening. And then that was cold, so I've just got to heat it up again. We could just do a live version with my current stuff. Anyway, we're not. I'm committed. I'll get my burger bun ready. Look at the burger bun. And the hummus. So it's really good. Lay it up with flavours. So we've got our burger. We're going to have a burger bun with hummus on it, the burger, and then some chutney, and then some cos lettuce on top. Excellent. Thank you. Now these are generally better a bit toasted, but just for the magic of this Zoom, we're not going to toast them. Fine, no stress. So they get our hummus and make your own. It's very easy. We've got our hummus and just layer it up. So we've got our burger. Delicious. And then we've got our, make sure how burgers are doing. I've got it on 7 at the moment, so we'll see how we go. Oh, very good, looking good. There we go. Oh, yes. Just make sure you get it all even. Looking good. And we're just going to cook these off. Construct and feed. So what I've also done for the first, when you're talking to Lachlan, I tossed it through the tofu through the soy and maple syrup, or tamari and maple syrup. Let's put that all together there. There we go. And then I've also got some rice noodles here, which I just poured boiling water over the stick rice noodles for about 10 minutes, strain them off, and they're good to go like that. And if you have leftovers, they keep in the fridge for a few days, and you can keep this first stock in the fridge and just heat it up in the microwave on proof induction. It's really good. I had a cup today. The stock was better the next day. delicious. I'm going to turn this down a bit, just to let them cook a bit slowly through. And there we go. Really, oh, beautiful. I love about induction, you can still use your beautiful old cast iron pans. It's really good. And if you do have other things like your copper pans or your ceramic pan, just get an induction converter. It's like a little steel plate that you put in between and it just heats, creates a conductor. It's great. Rightio, so we've got those ticking along. They look pretty good, nice and crispy. What I'm going to do, there we go, that's ticking along. Let's get my little spoon. Let's get it from the magic drawer. Everything disappears. Just like my fancy. Probably shouldn't use that one though, but anyway. That's looking good. Now we're going to just pop in our, what's that? I'm going to put that behind the scene. Get out of the window. There we go. Give me some bench space. Thank you. Okay, we've got our Guilan or our bok choy, along with our beautiful sugar snap peas. On the bench, I know, but anyway, just going to pop that in. Lovely, and then some sugar snaps. Just give it one more minute. I'll construct these burgers. Here we go. We'll get that to number 6. Look at that, nice and crispy. Don't be afraid of a bit of colour, it's flavour. So they look really good. There we go, nice. All right, I'll get that. This is a good one for our patty. On the burger, like that, delicious. What our amazing chutney here. I'll get this one a little bit more. There we go. And really, this is really essential. This is such a great little quick relish. It lifts anything. And then our lovely little cost lettuce. Any lettuce will do. You can use spinach. You can use lettuce. Is a great one to grow in the garden. I love it because the bugs don't eat it as much as it does eat rockets and kale, which got annihilated this year, but my lettuce got through. All right, and there's the lid on. There's one burger. Look at that, delicious. Put that on a plate. Put that to a hungry patron. And then we've got our little foot, which we'll just get our another magic bowl and a magic bowl cover. Yeah, excellent. Right, so what we do with the foot, we get our, so we've got our lovely, I'll get rid of that. So many dishes. Get our noodles. Put the noodles into the bowl. Trying to break them too much and use my hands because it's a bit easier. Then we've got, turn that off, take them off actually. I forgot about those. Swap some more in. There we go. Get them happening. And then there's our, you see our first comes to a nice little simmer. Got the right there in here. Nice up in here, thank you. Here we go. That makes me feel better. I was worried about using a metal implement on the there you go, look at that. So that is wilted really nicely. The Guilan. Just going to put in a handful of sugar snap peas, 2 handfuls because you guys love those. Heat them through really quickly, just toss through. See what's happening. And I've got to tell you, induction is I'm going to tell you how to complete mind blank then. We'll come back to that one. Here we go. All right. Where am I doing this one? There we go. So that's all nice and hot. Yeah, lovely. And delicious. But now I've seasoned this up with soy, tamari and tamari and lime juice. Got that there like that. And then we've got our tofu cubes. We've got our, my chilies in the box. I'll get that chili, please. We've got some Vietnamese mint, grows really nicely in the backyard. That's essential for some Thai basil. And then, thank you. And then chili. And it wouldn't be without a bit of chili on the top. And essential in the fridge, I've just forgotten my little bag of. There is beautiful vegan fur and a little harissa chickpea patty, all done with induction, and it's delicious and some vegan. Okay, now we need to get some tasters. You want to have the chili oil, put the chili oil on, some tasters, and we need to just make sure that it's all seasoned up. There's my tamari. And a little bit of, and serve that with a wine wedge. There, little flourish at the end. And we're good to go. Who wants to taste? Off camera. Okay, on camera. I'm going to finish up cooking and then I think I'm doing answers. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, do you want to?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's fantastic, Emma. I mean, we've been watching here in awe as Emma's managing to prepare and cook and talk and do all those wonderful things. So Emma's now going to come on to the computer and we'll answer some questions about cooking, and then Lachlan's going to answer some questions about the technical stuff. So we might just take a minute to do that transfer. So thanks everybody. We'll be with you in a minute.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Emma. Isn't this fun watching cooking happening around us? And what a pity we can't smell the smells through our computers. So it's great to see some questions coming in.
If you sit down there, and
Okay, hi.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Hello, Emma.
Hi, Anne. How you going?
Good. This has been such fun, Emma, to watch you cooking and how fantastic that stove is to work with. And
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it is really good. Like I truly love it and believe it. Like it's such a great bit of technology. It's so good.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, fantastic. So I think it's over to Karen now to read out some of the questions that have come in the chat.
Sure.
So I'll go mute and let Karen to take over.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
And yeah, thanks for cooking up such a beautiful storm. It just looks so delicious. I felt like jumping on the tram and coming on down. So
Come on down.
very jealous of the people that are present there tonight.
Yeah, we have got a nice room.
Yeah, and thank you so much for providing your recipes to us. And I have put on the chat just to let everybody know that I'll be emailing them out to everybody that RSVP'd tonight, so that they can try your delicious recipes out at home. One of the reasons that people seem to be really wedded to their gas stove tops is that they say that they feel that their gas stoves are more responsive to changes in temperature. So, you know, when they want to turn it down or turn it up suddenly, than the traditional sort of, you know, electric stove top. So it seems to be one of the things that people bring up when you talk about switching, when we talk about switching to induction and getting off gas. So how have you found cooking on an induction cooktop in comparison to that sort of gas responsiveness?
It's the same as gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as responsive as gas, or if not better, because the gas, the trivets retain the heat, so they stay hot, whereas the induction, if you turn it down, it's just the heat is in the saucepan. So you've got that little bit of extra responsiveness that I think the induction is excellent. I find it unbelievable. And once, like when I first started with induction, yeah, sure, I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't know it very well. But I only took, 1 or 2 goes, and it was like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah, once you kind of realize, and you can get different gas, different induction, how to.
What the controls?
The controls, thank you. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at everyone eating. I'm like, make sure you seasoned it all, okay? And it might need a bit of tamari or a bit of lime, and yeah, okay, good. Just worried about people, and make sure you get the chutney on. And there's some you do with the up down with your finger, and I've seen some with actual knobs for induction up and down as well. So have a shop around and have a look. But there's some, yeah, it's such a great piece of technology, and it's really responsive. I can't emphasize that enough. Like you go up, it boils. You go down, it stops boiling. Up,
yeah.
It's that responsive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I know that I've read somewhere that you have been using, when you cook in restaurants and things like that, that restaurants are more and more adopting induction cooking.
Yeah, they're using induction because it's a cleaner air, so you don't have the gas burning. So it's a much cleaner air. It's much more fire safe as well. So in restaurants, like, it's a much better risk mitigation strategy. So they don't have like their insurance premiums are less because they don't have gas and all those kind of things. But the air quality is really important too, and so that's yeah.
And that's something I hadn't thought about too, but I guess even in your own home, that air quality is also very important. And we take it for granted that gas is safe, to be putting it in, but really we should be thinking about that.
Yeah.
So we've had a question through the chat too from Peter, who's asking about cooking with a wok. Does it work as well with a flat bottom? Yeah,
look, woks are a bit more tricky. You can get a wok thing. I haven't actually done much wok. Emerald is offshoot on a mission. You can get a wok with a flatter bottom. Yeah, there we go. She's got. Hang on a minute. We'll give you a
perfect demonstration.
There we go. So here we've got a wok here, and that works really well, Emerald. Yeah. So it's got the wok here. It's got the big flat bottom, so that conducts the heat, and then it travels up the side of the wok to make it hot. So yeah, look, it's a bit different, but you can get the induction wok.
Yes. Yeah, I think one of the people, Craig, was saying that he was talking about saucepans that he's got some magnetic material in the bottom of them, and they work really well with induction.
Yeah, with any induction works on anything that a magnet will stick to.
Yes.
So, which is great with your old cast iron stuff. Yeah, good.
And you did mention, I think, briefly about that you can get those, like, what is it, like a sheet of metal or a small?
Yeah, you can just get the induction. It's like a little flat.
Yes.
Little flat pan basically, and it has a handle on it, and you just put it on the induction, then you put your pot on top of that. So if you have a ceramic pot that you can't let go of, or
if you've got,
the beautiful copper pots, yeah.
I guess ideally you want to have the saucepans that work the best, so that you're getting the most out of the fast speeds and the energy efficiency with the appropriate pots. Now I've had a question from John. Do you know, Emma, is there such a thing as an induction oven? That's a good question.
No, it's just an electric oven. Yeah. So it's, I don't think, no, there's not.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm looking for Emerald. No, there's not. No. Is there such thing as an induction oven? No. Because it works. Induction's working on the magnets or underneath stuff. Yeah. An electric oven. Yeah, electric oven. Yeah.
And Emma, have you had much experience like cooking on sort of the portable tops as well as so what have you noticed about that comparison with, say, a smaller portable one? And
They're really good too. I use them a lot for cooking demonstrations, and when you're on the road, like doing food expos, and you're often in the middle of a paddock with a PowerPoint or an extension lead. So, and do a whole cooking demonstration on those. So they're great, and you know, spill over. Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, it sounds like
spill over from big events. I mean, yeah, don't spill over, but yeah, big events.
Yeah, Lachlan was saying that he's got one and he's using it quite extensively by the sound of it.
Yeah.
I guess that the portable ones are good because you can take them with you wherever you're going. So, Emma, what have you noticed about in terms of just how fast, like say you know, people are time poor, they're rushing home from work, they might have hungry people at home waiting for them to cook up a delicious meal. So in terms of just, you know, difference in the speed of the cooking, sort of, can you just comment on that a little bit?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Like, it's within seconds, the pan is hot. And it's unbelievable. Like, especially compared to old electric. It's old electric is terrible, which is what I have at the moment in my old house.
Yes.
In Anglesea. But even with gas, it's as responsive or quicker. Like, I used to put my gas on and then go and get my things and then pop the things in the pan, pop my ingredients in the pan. But induction, you put the ingredients in the pan and you put it on the induction, and then it heats up within 10-15 seconds.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Look, I think, Emma, that I've got some other questions. I might shoot those over to Lachlan because people are using terminology like three-phase electricity, and I don't actually know what that means. So you might know what that means.
Well, yeah.
Sarah asked if you need phase 3 electricity.
It depends on how much induction, how many tops you have. I think I am getting 3-phase actually in my house, only because the house was built in the 60s and only has 32 amp of electricity when usually it's 64, and I want to have a kiln for pottery, so that's another story. But Lachlan might be better to answer that one about 3-phase. I know you can get it put in. It means you can get induction without 3-phase.
Yeah. So I might just bring Lachlan in at this point. Lachlan, you could unmute yourself. I know you've answered some of these questions in the chat, but it might be good just if you can just talk a little bit more. I mean, I don't even know what phase 3 electricity means. Everybody else on this talk might, but so perhaps if you could just explain that very briefly. And I know John was asking, you know, whether or not you need an extra power circuit, and you've answered that in the chat. But if you could just sort of, talk a little bit more about that, because I think that is electricity supply, whether it's going to cost a lot more to adapt your electricity to suit an induction stove. I think that's probably something that people are a little bit, you know, concerned about. And so if you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. I might give a long form answer if that's okay, to try and cover the scope that you've outlined. But just quickly, I think, you know, what Emma's said about 3-phase power, I'll go into more detail in a sec, but it's likely that you would only need to upgrade, as Emma has, if you have an older house with a grid connection that is only around 32 amps. So if you go back to the start of the process and the requirements for installing, so you will need a dedicated electrical circuit from the kitchen to the switchboard. And the reason for that is that stovetops, when they're running, if you're using all of the burners, that they'll be drawing around 30 to 40 amp, or the circuit you would need is 30 to 40 amps. So for that reason, if you had a 32 amp single phase grid connection, so most residential properties have single phase connections. As Emma pointed out, they might be 64 amp, but if they're older, they might be 32. If you have a 32 amp single phase connection and you require a 30 to 40 amp electrical circuit from the kitchen, you'll be tripping your your switchboard when you turn your induction cooker on. So that's the instance where you might need to upgrade to 3-phase power. And 3-phase power is essentially you have, so most residential connections have 1 phase. 3 phases, you have 3, it's almost like 3 connections essentially. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't want to go beyond the scope of my expertise. But Steve's asked in the chat, so if you can plug in a portable cooktop into a PowerPoint, why do you need a dedicated circuit? Which is a really good question. So when you plug a portable one into a PowerPoint circuits are around 10 amps. And basically that sort of puts a cap on the load that you can generate with that cooker or the power consumption. So the one that I have is about 2.1 kilowatts or 2,100 watts. And that's plenty powerful enough for what I've been using it for. I think if you had a larger coil, so just say, you know, the one I'm using, the cooker itself is the width of a standard fry pan or saute pan. I think it's about 28 centimeters, but the coil itself is maybe only 15 or 20. So I think that's one way that they've delivered sufficient power to that coil. But if the coil was the full breadth of that plate, and I guess the short answer is that you want all the burners with large coils to have the full scope of power available to them. And the load that could generate if they were all on would be far beyond 10 amps. So for a permanent fixture in your kitchen, you don't want to be skimping on that sort of thing. Having said that, you know, if I was looking at an apartment and it had an traditional electric cooktop, I've got a piece of marble that I'd happily whack on top and use a portable cooker, and because I'd prefer to use induction than traditional electric. So going in a sort of circuitous route, but going back to the installation, you will need a dedicated circuit. I think if you already have a traditional electric cooktop, that one may be sufficient. It sort of depends, I guess, again, what era your house is and what you're replacing. The other thing to consider, if you're replacing a gas cooktop, you'll need to invite a plumber in to cap that connection, and an electrician to install the induction cooktop. And depending on whether you're replacing a freestanding stove or one that's built into the cabinet, you may also, so there's a couple of options here. You could get an electric oven with an induction cooktop as a freestanding unit. I think you can get those. Or if you don't have a cavity in your benchtop for an induction cooktop, so you're replacing a freestanding one with a benchtop induction cooktop, you would need either a DIY job or a cabinet maker to cut out that hole and help with the installation. So that's why there's a few cooks kitchen, I guess, which has made it quite challenging for us to support people in this process. It's not necessarily particularly complex. It's just that you might end up needing a few different tradespeople and to take a stepped approach. And that's not even overly complex, but you do need to sort of get all your ducks in a row before you press play. I'm using a lot of idioms, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
where are we up to?
I'm renovating my kitchen at the moment, so I've been looking at lots and lots of different induction, and like you can get like 60 centimeter induction freestanding cookers with electric ovens, or you can get tops and bottoms, like so a bench top cooker with the oven separate. And they go right up to, like, I'm getting a 1.1 meter oven with an induction top on top because that's what I love doing. So I'm getting my forever oven, but there's lots of options, and more companies are now offering induction stovetops, and like Bosch do a really good one, not that, but it's quite reasonably priced, and they do a 60 centimeter upright. And a lot of the time, if you do have an oven connected, an electric oven connected into your property, it's a separate circuit anyway. So it won't be too much work. But yeah, the tradies are fine. You just got to get them, as Lachlan said, to get your ducks lined up. And yeah, and if you do have an older house like mine is, like it's built in 1965, so it's this tiny little power connection to the house, and like we don't use much electricity anyway in the house, but an induction oven with an induction stovetop with multiple stovetops would set it off. Yeah. So sorry, I just thought I'd add that in.
No, that's awesome to hear that you're in the midst of that process, and that's something I'm a long way off. So your experience is
I've
super.
learned a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. And the three-phase, instead of three-phase, you still get the same amount of power into your house, but it's separated into three. It spreads the load so that you don't doesn't put on the pressure onto one bit. So it's because it goes across 3 bits, you're still using the same amount of power if you had single phase, but I think that's what I don't understand it properly either, Lachlan, but it is so it means you can have surges in it and it won't trip out your electricity as much.
Yeah, I think you can also actually generate a high load. So for industrial properties, they have 3-phase because they might be doing welding, those sort of high load activities. So if you're going all electric, I don't know if anyone on this call would be taking this approach, but if you had all your induction cookers going and your oven and a spa and 2 split systems and you were charging your EV, then you'd want 3-phase power. Having said that, how likely is that going to happen? And sometimes if you theoretically line up all of the appliances in your home, then yes, they would breach what a single phase connection could do. But realistically, that's never going to happen. So you don't necessarily need to worry about it. So it's best to think in terms of scenarios rather than raw figures.
Yeah, I know with my oven, it's an enormous oven, and I had the choice of getting it 3-phase, or they can make the oven to have 2 single phases or something. Like, so there's you don't need to have 3-phase. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Emma and Lachlan, for answering all of those questions. I feel like my knowledge about induction cooking has gone from 0 to at least perhaps 55% tonight. So thank you very much. I think obviously from the questions in the chat and from what both you, Emma, and Lachlan have been saying, it's well worth doing a lot of good research into the types of stoves that are available, and thinking about how big you need them, whether you want to be portable or in situ. But it's fantastic though to be having this discussion, and because it's a great way for us to try and get away from gas, which of course is a fossil fuel, which is polluting the beautiful oceans and landscapes and environment around us. So thank you both for those answering the questions. And on the chat, somebody was, I think it was Cheryl, was suggesting that the My Efficient Electric Home Facebook group, which is a fantastic group, if you can actually search on topics, so you can search, say, induction stove, hashtag induction stoves, and people's research and brand recommendations and all that sort of like pops up, whether it's like heat pumps or whatever. So that is, I agree, that is a great source for people. But also going to Lachlan Community Hub to get that pre-consultation advice is great too. So thank you both, and I'm going to hand back to Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Yes, I think our understanding has gone from 1-phase to at least 2-phase and maybe even 2.5-phase. So thank you both for a fantastic evening. Thank you, Emma, for giving your time, your expertise, your enthusiasm, and that delicious food that we can't eat, but we'll enjoy thinking about you all enjoying it there. Thank you also to Lachlan for making the time to come and sharing your expertise. That's been really, really helpful as well. And to the Hub. So DCAN is a proud partner in the Metropolitan Community Power Hub, and it's been a really interesting exercise for us being involved in that. Thank you also to Amaral and Diane for making your home available, your beautiful all-electric, highly energy efficient home available for this. That's also very generous. To Linda for doing a lot of the organising of this, a lot of behind the scenes work, and Karen as well for that. And to Robert for discovering his new talent as a cinematographer. I know it wasn't particularly easy running around after Emma and getting great shots of food as well as her, but you did a fantastic job. And thank you to everybody else for attending. As we said, this session has been recorded and we will make the recording available as well as those delicious recipes. So I think we can call it a night now and let you guys go and eat and then do all the washing up of all that huge number of pans that you created.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks for having me. See you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.